Carolyn Doobie here. What's the play for today? Well, today's play is all about making your very first gel print. You might have heard about mono printing or gel printing. This video explains, if you've never done it before, what it's like from opening up your plate from the packaging all the way to taking some colorful pulls and prints. And to make it easier for you, I've created a downloadable guide so that you can have it right next to you when you're printing, so it'll have the steps for you so you can do this with complete confidence. And there's a link down below for how you can get that sent to your inbox. Well, now let's get started by unpacking that gel press plate. Well, here's what the gel press printing plate looks like when you get it. It comes in this plastic clamshell, and I actually save the clamshell and will store them in that a lot of times. You've got some information there they give you with it, and then you get the actual plate. Now, mine is very dirty. Yours will look beautifully clean when you get it, and it has a piece of plastic on each side of it. I only remove the plastic from one side and leave it on the back side. So basically, I'm really only using one side of this most of the time. And you can tell I don't clean it very often or very well. I'm okay with that dirt building up on it, and you'll see why in just a few minutes. So this is the plate, so that's the first P of what you need. The second P of what you need is paper. Whatever paper you have is the kind of paper to use. Doesn't matter what kind of paper it is. This is from my kids' old school workbook. Yes, I hoarded those and saved these things. They're great paper to print on. Especially love it if they've got some of their handwriting on it. Now, other kinds of things you can use are book text, pages out of an old book, manila tags, or cardstock. The cardstock that I have here is a 90-pound weight that I like, and it is very much personal preference. My number one recommendation to you is use the paper that you have available to you. Use whatever you have to start playing with. Well, what's the next P that you need? Paint. You're going to need some kind of acrylic paint. Now, there is no magic one perfect paint. Different paints feel differently, behave differently, give you different looks, and it also, to me, the biggest factor to me is what paint I actually have. So I've got everything here from a Deco Media Fluid all the way up to the Liquitex Heavy Body. The Liquitex Basics and the Amsterdam are somewhere in the middle. But again, I suggest you use whatever paint you have. Now, I'll be using all of these paints in this video, and you're probably wondering about that other tool that I haven't given a name to, I haven't mentioned, and that's simply for the reason that it does not start with the letter P, but you really do need it. It's a brayer. It's a thing where you're going to be able to roll the paint onto your plate. Really wish it started with a P, but B is about as close as I can get for it. All right, so let's make our very first print here. What I've got set up is my paint, and I've got a cleanup paper. That's what I'm going to use the book text for. And then right off camera, I've got the paper so I can grab it. So the color I'm going to start with, I think I'm going to start with some yellow. Now this is a heavy body yellow, and notice how carefully I decide how much paint to put on there. FYI, didn't really think about it. Whatever I scored out is how much I use. If I have a lot of paint on there, I get a print that has more paint on it. If there's less paint, there's less paint on it. I am not very precise when it comes to applying that paint right there onto that gel press plate. So I'm going to put a piece of paper on it. I'm going to push it down, just rub it down with my hands. And then when I lift it up, what you're going to see is there's going to be more than just yellow paint on here. There are little bits of a bluish green on there. That's because that was the last color that I'd used on my plate. So it picked up little bits of it. And you'll notice I've left some of the yellow that's on there. You can see a little bit of the blue that was on there. Basically, this thing is not completely clean. And that's the way I like it. I like to have those little bits and flecks show up in the next print. So now I'm going to add a little bit of the turquoise color. And when I say a little bit, that is a little bit. If I want to add more, I can, or I can use just that little bit. The less paint that's on there, the less paint you have to spread around on the plate. So you can see it's a little bit hazier looking or thinner looking. You can see through the paint a little bit more. That's because there's just less paint on it. Will it still make a great print? Absolutely. So as I rub this on, when I lift it up, you're going to see more than just that turquoise color. You're going to see some of the yellow that was from there before. And when yellow and blue, well, they're going to give me that kind of greenish look to it. So it makes more than just a solid color. And I don't have to worry about cleaning things. That's a big deal to me. Now, did you notice how I cleaned off the brayer? All I do is rub off the paint or wipe, roll it off right onto that piece of book text right there. Now, what about putting two colors on at the same time? And what about two different types of paint? The pink that I just put on there, that was a heavy body, and the orange, that's a fluid or a more liquid paint, a runnier paint. That's why it's fluid. So I'm running the fluid paint around there, and I'm going to clean that brayer off. And then I'm going to go into the heavy body paint. It doesn't matter if they're both exactly the same kind of paint or two different kinds of paint. Now I'm brayering right over where the two of them are, and that kind of blends the two colors together, gives me a bit of an ombre look. So now as I take this print, I'm going to use a piece of the workbook that has the print or the text on one side to pull the print. Now because you can put nice thin layers of paint onto a gel press plate, that means I'm going to have somewhat of a translucent look, so I'll still be able to see the writing underneath it and then have all those wonderful colors, some of which are left over from the last time I put paint on there. And so that bit of pink that's left on there, that's going to give me an awesome ghost print. So I'm going to grab one of the tags. Now it's not going to be a complete full page of ghost print, but just a little something to get an interesting bit on there. And I will continue to layer things onto that tag as I mop up or clean up any of the leftover bits of wet paint. So now you know the 3 P's, the paint, the paper, and the plate. You're ready to start making gel prints. Now what about getting pattern in there? Can you put pattern in here? Absolutely. And I'm going to be covering that in the next video using some found objects and then also to layering it up. I'm going to show you how you can layer in a way that creates the most wonderful prints. There's one little trick to it, and you know I'm going to share that with you in that video. And remember, there's the downloadable guide for you waiting, so use that link down below. That way it'll be sent right to your inbox. You can print it out and have it next to you as you're printing. Well, thanks so much for joining me today and letting me be a part of your colorful journey.